viewers, and welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. We've got a 2005 Caravan here. It's got the 3.8 in it. The money light's on, and we're going to see what's wrong. So we're going to use our DRB on this one. I'll let her get booted up here and ID the vehicle. See what we've got for codes. Let me try to turn the key on. Yeah, I did. Yeah, no, I did. Okay. Alright, it's got to be patient. Alright, let's get to these menus. Write down read codes. EGR position sensor high. P0404. Oops. EGR control circuit. We got an EGR, let's see, P0404, EGR position sensor. Okay. I'm going to say it's safe to say we have a problem with the EGR valve. I'm going to go ahead and back out of here. Let's see. We do not want to erase them yet because we haven't looked at freeze frame or anything, but I think what we'll do, we'll pop here under system tests and we will simply test the EGR valve to see if it's functioning. Let me go ahead and start it up. Should be warmed up. I just took it for a little drive. Alright, so our EGR valve right now is reading 3.8 volts. Let's see, we've got good manifold vacuum. Alright, let's so we're gonna take and open this up. We're gonna go to the flow test, so it should be like 40-50%. So we're at 51% duty cycle on EGR valve, but I don't hear the engine stumbling and we don't see the EGR valve sense voltage change. I'll tell you what, let's go old school. By that I mean hit it with a hammer. So right now we're still at the 51% command. Sometimes these things just get stuck, but we do have other codes in it there. Oh, she's chugging now a little. Well, we did not see the sense voltage, so the engine's stumbling a little. EGR pipe is starting to get hot. So it is flowing some gas. Ooh. Yeah, she's flowing a little EGR gas. Oh, she's getting toasty. But our EGR position, the sense voltage, hasn't changed a bit. Alright, let me get you set back up on this. I'm going to take and we're going to unplug the sensor. So with doing that, we should see our sense voltage should go high. Get this clip out of here. And it did not. Boy, that's really interesting. Go back to normal. Oh, I wonder if our tool's locked up. Because now it's not letting me, using a factory tool and we got problems. So none of the buttons are responding here. Son of a hoo-ha. Tell you what, whoop, goodbye. Go just like that. I don't know why our DRB locked up on us. It kind of sucks. I'll just leave the EGR valve unplugged. We'll go back in here. boots up relatively quick, so we'll just pop back through here. So the DRB, this would be the factory scan tool for this vehicle. We'll let it redetermine the controller, and we'll pop back in. We'll just go, we'll go to scan data. All right. Let's see. We'll find our EGR valve. There we go. EGR sense voltage, 5 volts. All right, so that's what I expected to see with it unplugged. Let me plug it back in. Okay, went back to 3.8. So what we can do now, kind of curious. Pop back into the system test here. Hopefully it doesn't lock up. I should have noticed the RPM. I think the RPMs quit moving. Let's go back to a flow test. You see that? Change that time. So I'm whacking on it with the hammer. Helped. But for some reason, I thought the voltage on these was higher on a good EGR valve closed position. We're going to go to a variable test here. We'll see. Probably just whacking it with a hammer, but having all the EGR codes in, I'm sure this valve is likely on its way out. These are really highly failure prone on these cars. So as soon as our duty cycle there gets up, right now it doesn't appear to be open. Yeah, there it goes a little bit. You see that little blurb there? Reset back to 0. Maybe you can only go as high as 51. Yeah, so you can only go as high as 51%. All right. Interesting. All right. Well, I went ahead and snagged us up a wiring diagram. So what we're going to do, so we've got the EGR valve here, we've got our sensor ground, our EGR signal return, so this is going to be on the position sensor side. So it's a pretty simple system, you know, it's your typical linear EGR valve. You've got the control side here that opens and closes the valve. That's controlled by the ECM. So that actually hooks to the battery negative, so it appears it has to be a power side switch from the ECM, so we can test that with a test light. And then we have a simple 3-wire, according to this, with a 5-volt sensor. So we got our 5-volt supplier, sensor ground, and then our signal return. So we can very easily check this, you know, make sure all of our wires going to the EGR valve are good. And we can go ahead and slap one on it if that's what it's going to need. But, you know, the hammer test basically revealed. However, we don't want to get burned. So very quickly, let me grab the old scope on the rope. What we can do, we already took and unplugged the sensor. And we've seen that it went high. We've seen it went to 5 volts. So we'll do a bypass test on, let's see, the EGR signal return. So it looks like a dark blue with light green wire. We'll simply take our test light with the sensor unplugged, we'll touch it on that, and it should pull our scan data down to 0 volts. So I'll get you guys swapped around there. All right, so the EGR valve's unhooked. We're at 5 volts, so the sensor's high, so that, you know, tells us that our circuit is good there. It's not shorted to a ground. We'll make sure that it can go low. And again, you know, looking at our diagram here, we're just going to go on this. Let's see, where is it? The EGR, the signal return. Let's see, where are we? Right there. So I'm gonna take and unplug the EGR, just touch this with my test light, hook to ground, and when we do that, our 5-volt reference or our 5-volt return should get pulled down. That is dark blue with green. It should be this wire right here. Did it go down? Can't see. It looks like it did. It's at 0. So that's a quick bypass test. So that's good. We can use our little digital test light here, and we can verify quickly our sensor 5-volt feed, which is supposed to be a pink with yellow, which should be this middle one here. We have 5 volts on that. I'll show you that. We'll plug our test light into that. You can see we've got 5 volts right there, 4.8. These test lights are not high impedance, so they will pull down. You take a 5-volt reference like that, it will pull down a couple tenths of a volt. So don't be alarmed if you're using one and you see 4.8. Well, we're right here at the connector. We'll take our test light, hook the battery positive. We'll check our sensor ground, and that is dark blue with dark green. That should be the next one in line here. Looks like that one there, dark blue with dark green. And there we go. So our signal return wire is good, our 5-volt reference is good, our signal return is good, and that leaves us with the only thing we have to check now, which is our control side, so the EGR control, and then the battery negative, which looks like it is black with a dark blue. So when we're still hooked to battery positive, we can check that. Should be this one here, should be a ground, which it is. You can see it lights up our test light. So that's good. We're basically done. Let me get my junk out of the way. We'll put our EGR simulator in there. This is simply just a test light. We'll go across our 2 terminals, our control side and the ground side. We'll stick that right there, and now when we should be able to command this, and that light should blink. Let's see, can you guys see it? Yeah. So we're going to put it on flow. So there it is. There's 51% duty cycle. And we've got our blinky light. So we'll put her on normal. We could go variable here. We'll bump her up. So we can see the light is very dim, and as we increase, our light should get brighter and brighter and brighter. So right there is about 25%. Here we are, back up to 50. Oh, now we're back to 0. Now we're back to 50. So there we go. We confirmed it. The wires are good. The circuitry is good. The signal returns is good. The EGR valve is not good. So there you have it, folks. Piece of cake testing on an EGR valve with simply a couple test lights. And obviously a scan tool. You don't have to use a DRB. You can use anything with bidirectional controls, which most of your scan tools will have for a Chrysler. This code is not in response to a lack of flow. It's we're circuit codes, so that's why we wanted to just verify the circuit. So what we'll do is we'll put the new EGR valve on. We'll make sure it works, and we'll gather that data too. Opening at 15 or at 50%, the engine should stumble and chuggle and carry on. I do believe that the position sensor on a new EGR valve on these is a little bit higher than 3.7. I thought they were around 4 volts, 4.5 volts, 4.1, something like that. So it appears that this EGR valve is obviously going bad. So we'll get that ordered up, get that yanked off, and then we'll look at our new data. New valve is here. We'll see if we can get this little guy off without pulling the alternator, hopefully. We'll see how many interruptions we get. So that's the tube that runs in the upper intake. The bolts that go in the valve are stainless, so typically they don't give a fit. I want to stick my lips on there, she's still toasty. It doesn't appear to be, you know, plugged up yet. It's got some soot, but I don't think I've ever seen one of these plug. It feels like a 10 millimeter. If I remember right, the bottom bolt on the bottom of the EGR valve is kind of a pisser to get to. Let's get that one cracked loose. They are 10 millimeter. Alright, now the moment of truth. Some of these you have to pull the alternator on. They're just very tight. Looks like I got on that one. Like I said, I am using a 10 millimeter swivel on a 1/4 inch drive though. My long ratchet. Sweet. Get loose. I don't want it to hit the alternator case, that's what I got to be sure of. Alright, sweet. That one came off. There she is. Take the old super scraper, clean off the intake side of the head here. It's got to be the best scraper in the world. Carbide super scraper. Absolutely fantastic. You gotta be careful, man. This carbide, of course, you know, it never dulls, but if you stick this thing up on edge, you will just cut a groove right through that aluminum. But excellent for removing corrosion and crap like this where you just want a nice clean flat surface again. Don't have to get your cookie wheel down in there, and we're done. Well, almost done. It's still warm. Alright, so I've got the gasket and the bolts on this one, got them started. The only thing that was available today was this BWD one from the old Advance, and we all know BWD, what that means. Broke when delivered. So I'm sure this thing will probably haunt us. Usually on Chryslers, I would encourage you to buy the OEM, 100%, because I'm 95% certain this will come back and bite me, but we'll see. Shouldn't be so, is it pessimistic? Just dealt with their junk for too long. You start to know what breaks and what doesn't. Piss pot, but this goes into aluminum, so make sure 100% sure you start that by hand before you bust out the torque wrench. Get her all torqued down. Torque at the factory specs now, just to be on the safe side. Bottom bolt, we gotta tighten up a little bit more. Alright, torque to spec. Plug her in. We'll clean up our EGR 2 gasket. And these here, I just cleaned those up on the wire wheel. It's got that you know, that paper or fiber type gasket. And that seems to work the best. We'll slip that baby up on. We're just going to get our 2 screws started in there. Now those are kind of like a wood screw, so try to get them back into the threads that they cut the first time. They should spin in fairly easy. That plastic doesn't take too much fiddling, you know. There you go, got those started. So now we can put our lower bolts back in. And we'll get those torqued down. We'll see if see what our new test results are. Now these Chryslers, after you change the valve, you've got to do a PCM reset on it because it learns the minimum, the closed value. So with a scan tool, we'll just do a battery disconnect reset. I suppose you could probably leave your battery unhooked for a certain period of time. You got to be careful with these because sometimes just clearing the codes does not reset that adaptive value or that learned memory. So we got to make sure we take care of that and don't generate, you know, some kind of pinhole position code or something afterwards. Make darn sure these are started straight. But if they're not, you know what they say, cross thread's better than Loctite. Lined up. I try to draw them down even so that tube goes where it naturally wants to be. And then, you know, just torque these. There we go. Don't get stupid on these plastic ones. One little ugga-dugga from the old impact, she could be stripped out, so I do those by hand. Good to go, baby. Alright, so we should be able to do all the rest from the driver's seat here. Oh, let's see. So you can see our sense volts. Oh, that's because we still got this thing turned on. Let's go back to normal. So there we go, we're at 4.1 volts. So before we do anything, let's try to hold this so you guys can see. We'll back out of this. We're going to go over here to miscellaneous. We're going to go clear PCM, battery disconnect. Release, so this is going to release all the random access memory, just the same as a battery disconnect. So that kind of answers our question that you can disconnect the battery to do this. Alright, so we did that. Let's make sure the vehicle still runs, which it should. Alright, so our vehicle runs. Whoa, hang on there, little guy. The money light is off now. So we're going to back up. We'll go back under engine, go to system test, EGR valve test. Alright, so we're at 4.1 volts. We'll let her flow. Oh, I think she's going to stall on us. She's not happy with that. We'll shut her back down. Oh yeah. So yeah, you guys could see the RPMs there and probably hear the vehicle juggling, but it did not like that. Let's open her up again. Oh, she's running poopy. Alright. So that's it, folks. We got a verified fix. You know, of course, the other thing you can do if you don't have an EGR position sensor is, you know, we'll watch our manifold vacuum so you can see that and see how much that drops. Oh gosh, what, 8 inches or so. Yeah, at least 6. So yeah, about 6 inches vacuum. So that's good. And that's only at, you know, technically half opening at 50% duty cycle. So there we go. Easy peasy. Shut this noisy thing off. Oh, DRB, she's loud. At any rate, that is your EGR valve circuit check, diagnosis, whatever you want to call it, on a 05 Caravan with the 3.8 liter. Pretty similar across the board on, you know, various types of EGR valves, as far as, you know, a linear EGR valve and, you know, ECM controlled. This one was power side switch. Some EGR valves are fed power and are ground side switched, and then most of them have, you know, your standard 3 volt signal return sensor. So they're pretty simple. GM runs a very similar system. Some EGR valves are stepper motors, so you kind of got to be careful which system you have. But if you're working on a Caravan, that's pretty much that, and that's about all you need to know. So best I can do for you. Anyhow, guys, check us out on Google+, Facebook. You can find us on Patreon now if you want to help support the SMA channel there. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.